Hi guys, I'm Audrey and welcome to my January book haul video. For this video, I thought I'm not going to present the books in the order I bought them, but more divided them into the books that I got secondhand and the books that I either got or didn't pay for. Because for this month, it makes sense. Okay, now here are all the books that I got in January for used or, secondhand. The first book that I got was The Secret Diary of Lizzie Bennet by Bernie Sue and Kate Rorick. In December, I watched the web series on YouTube called The Lizzie Bennet Diaries, which are based on Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, but have this modern take on it. Like, Lizzie Bennet is a vlogger that talks about her life with her family, with her sisters, and this new guy called Bingley that moves into town, and his irritating friend Darcy on camera and puts it on YouTube. I adored the series so much, so I went ahead and bought the book. Anyway, there are a lot of things being mentioned in this book that haven't been mentioned in the series that give much more depth into the characters and their interactions and everything, and that's really awesome, and I can't wait to pick it up again and finish it. The next two books that I got are Pushing the Limits and Dare You To by Katie McGarry. Let's just appreciate this wonderful hardcover. Like, the hardcover of those books are so gorgeous. In the beginning of the year, I was much more in a contemporary phase, and I didn't feel like reading a lot of the books that I already have, and so I just went on Amazon and I looked for books that sounded really appealing to me right now, and those were the ones I found for really cheap as used copies, and so I went ahead and bought them. I started with Dare You To because the summary of that book was much more appealing than that book. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to I intend to read Pushing the Limits, but Dare You To just sounded much more intriguing for me, and so I started with that one, even though it's like the second of the a series or trilogy, I'm not quite sure, and comes after that one, but it doesn't take really much away from the first book because they're about different characters. Like, the main character in this one, Beth, she is mentioned in Pushing the Limits, but she doesn't have a main role, I guess, because I haven't read the first book so far. And to be honest, after I read Dare You To, and I loved it. And I saw how gorgeous the book looks in hardcover. I'm actually waiting until I find Pushing the Limits for really cheap as a used copy in hardcover, because it's just so gorgeous that I have to get it someday. But anyway, they're really great books. The writing is really good, and I can only recommend it. The next books that I got, which are also contemporary, are Losing It, Finding It, and Faking It by Cora Carmack. I just bought Losing It when I bought Dare You To and Pushing the Limits. And I read it as soon as I got it. I read it in a couple of hours, and I devoured it because it just sounded like a fanfiction. Like, it's about Bliss Edwards, who is a virgin, and she decides to have a no strings attached one-night stand. But it turns out that that one-night stand that she left behind in her bed 8 hours ago is her new English professor. So that was something I thought sounded like a fanfiction with my OTP in it, so I started reading it. I finished it in a couple of hours, and I adored it. So that was really in the beginning of January, and I think a couple of days or weeks later, still in January, I went ahead and bought the other two of the trilogy, which are centered about Bliss' best friends. and I really hope that I can get to them soon because they sound really awesome, and I just love the writing of Cora Carmack, so I'm pretty sure that I'm also loving those two. The next book that I got was Easy by Tamara Weber, also part of my contemporary new adult phase with buying books. From the summary, it's about Jacqueline, who is being attacked by a fellow student, but another student that she has never noticed before, called Lucas, saved her. And yeah, and then she kind of notices him everywhere, and I am pretty sure they're going to fall in love. Anyway, I haven't read the book so far, but I read a lot of good reviews about it, and so I thought I'm going to give it a go. And yeah, I'm actually really excited to read it someday soon. The next book that I got was The Sin Eater's Daughter by Melinda Salisbury. I haven't read this book so far, but I really want to get into it because it sounds amazing. I mean, it's about a girl who can kill people with a single touch, and I think a forced marriage or something about that, and it just sounds really, really awesome. And I think the second book just came out or is coming out really, really soon in this series. And yeah, I hope that it's good. The next two books that I got were Bloodlines and The Golden Lily by Richelle Mead. I read Vampire Academy, I think 2 years ago, and I really liked the series. I really love Richelle's writing, and I knew that there was kind of a spin-off series about one of the characters that's been later introduced in the books, and it's this series called Bloodlines. I never really got around reading them, and so in January I found both books for really cheap as used copies, and so I went ahead and bought them because when will I ever get the chance for such a great deal again? And yeah, so I'm just waiting until all the other books of the series are also available as pretty cheap. And yeah, and then I'm going to read the whole spin-off series to get my Bloodlines fixed. I don't know. So many people say so much great things about the Bloodlines series, and if it's anything like Vampire Academy, I mean, not exactly the same, but I mean, for the things that happen in there, like friendship and character development and all that jazz, then I'm going to love it. And so yeah, just waiting for the next books. The next book that I got was The Summer of Chasing Mermaids by Sarah Ochler. I love mermaids. When I was still a child and watching Disney movies on probably a daily basis, Ariel, the Little Mermaid was one of my absolute favorite Disney movies. I just love swimming in the water, and I always wished to be a mermaid. I haven't read the book so far, so I can't probably say what's about, but I really, really love the premise of this book. I mean, it's about this girl, and she used to be a singer, I think in her town or something, and then a boating accident happened, and she never spoke again. And yeah, so this boy is kind of like a bad boy, whatever, who doesn't treat her like glass, I think. And so for a regatta, they pair together, and yeah, I think they fall in love. Anyway, I'm really excited to finally read this book because it just sounds so awesome. Not even because mermaids are kind of involved in it, I don't know, like a tale of mermaids or something, but also because it's a main character who doesn't speak, like because of something traumatic happening, and that is something I never encountered before, and I'm really, really curious about it. And I trust the people I follow on Tumblr who say that it's an amazing book, and I hope that I'll love it. The next book that I got was The Wrath in the Dawn by Renee Eddy. I hope I pronounce it correctly. If I recall correctly, it's inspired by 1001 Nights, which I absolutely love that it's based on that, because it's something completely different from North America here, US here, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, whatever. And so that was something I really liked when I heard that. And it's about a boy king, I think, who gets wife or chooses a wife or something like that, and she always ends up being dead, and to revenge her best friend, I think the main character offers herself, and I think they fall in love, because that's always bound to happen. I could be wrong though, I could be, but I'm pretty sure that I'm right. I really want to read this, especially because Polly from Polly and Books said that it's a really amazing book, a really great story, and she told me that I'm going to love it. And I trust her because we have pretty similar tastes, and she would never recommend something I wouldn't like. So I really hope that I can get to it soon. The next books that I got are actually mangas to complete a full series, where I just owned one of those books before, and that is Full Moon Wasagashit by Arina Tanemura. And I talked with one of my closest friends, Cecilia, about it, and I told her that I really wanted to have the whole series, and it's really cheap when you get it used, like I think 20 euros, like all 6 of them. And she said, oh, just go for it, make yourself happy. So I thought, okay, I could use making myself happy right now. So I just went ahead and got all the books, and then I read them in one weekend, and I could not be happier that I actually finished it, and I have the whole series now. I can only recommend it if you are into that kind of mangas. I just really love it. The next book that I got was also manga, and it's The Infernal Devices Clockwork Angel, the manga, by Cassandra Clare. Art by... I actually have no idea how to pronounce it, just... there. This one is also a former library book. I just found it fascinating to get used books, and then they were from a library. They were former library books. I found those amazing. And this one is from Watertown Free Public Library. I really loved getting back to the story, which I've read I think 2.5 years ago. And to get back to all these characters, to their stories, and I just really adored it. And I think that the illustrations are great, and yeah. Yay! The next book that I got was Winter Girls by Laurie Halse Anderson. So I stumbled upon this book a lot of times on Tumblr. It's about a girl with an eating disorder, I think, and I think she lost a friend because she also suffered from eating disorder. I'm not 100% sure what it's about, and because I haven't read it so far. But I've seen a lot of reviews. A lot of people said that it's a really relevant book to read. I think it's one of the banned books in the US. So I think it has a lot of impact on people. I'm actually really excited to get into this one, even though I heard it will be really hard and sad. The next book that I got is A Beautiful Wedding by Jamie McGuire. It's a novella, or it's the novella that has been published as a hardcover copy in this case. It's about the wedding of Travis and Abby from Beautiful Disaster. If you're still interested in the love story of Travis and Abby and some things that are kind of like outtakes from wedding or whatever, go ahead and read it. I'm pretty sure there are lots of people who actually adored this book. I just didn't, and that's okay because everyone has different tastes and takes book differently. The next book that I got just came out a couple of months ago, and it just came out of nowhere, and I wanted to read it since I found out that it came out, and that is Twilight Reimagined, Life and Death by Stephanie Meyer. It's so awesome because it's a flip copy. Like this way it's Twilight and that way it's Life and Death. Isn't that amazing? Is Twilight, but everything is reversed. Like all the boys are girls and all the girls are boys. Like Edward is a girl called Edith? I don't know how to pronounce her name, I'm sorry. And habe ich mit Edward oder mit Bella angefangen? Okay. And Bella is Beaufort. What kind of name is Beaufort? Sorry. But anyway, it's all reversed, and that's really awesome, and I really want to get to it. I really want to read it soon, and I'm super happy that I got it. I really want to get to it soon, and I'm really excited to read it. And it's been just so long since I've read Twilight the last time. Pretty sure that's like 5 or 6 years ago. So I'm going to get into that one. And I'm super excited. Like I already said before, like 3 times. Next book that I got was Entwined by Heather Dixon. Based on the tale of the 12 dancing princesses, if you heard of that one before. Super excited to read this because I just love fairy tales or tales retelling, or you know, that are based on that. And yeah, it just looks gorgeous, so I'm super excited to get into this one. And the last book that I got used in January was We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. I saw this book a lot of times on Tumblr. There was a time where I saw it on a daily basis. And I read mixed reviews about it, but I'm still intrigued to actually read it and make my own opinion. Maybe I'll get to it soon. The next book that I got, it was not a used copy, and it was actually a pre-order. And I waited for that long, since October when I read the first book and completely fell in love with it, and that is Inferno by Catherine Doyle. It's the second book of her Blood for Blood saga, which is a trilogy. And honestly, my expectations for this book were so high because after reading the first book, I couldn't, like, my expectations couldn't be any less high than they were at the beginning of this book, like when I started reading it. And honestly, Catherine Doyle managed to top my expectations, and I at some point I was speechless. This book is so amazing. I have a lot of feels about that book. So if you read this series, please comment below so we can talk about this, or message me so we can talk about this without spoiling anyone. And it's just so underappreciated, and it's so awesome, and I'm pretty sure that so many people would love it, but they never heard of it before. The next book that I got was paid from the leftover from my gift card from a bookstore, and a discount I got at that bookstore, and I just ended up paying €1.40 or something for that book. So it's basically almost free. And that is The Heartbreakers by Ali Novak. Stella, who accidentally meets Oliver Perry, who is the lead singer of one of the hottest bands of the world, and she doesn't know that he is because she's not interested in that band. For her sister, she goes to a signing of The Heartbreakers, which is the band he's in. And yeah, so although she even told him in his face that his music sucks and that she doesn't like him, she gets his phone number and things happen. I don't want to spoil her, but it's not what you think right now what it's going to be, because I thought the same but it didn't. So it's just, you know, just read it and you know what I mean. A really great book. I really liked it. I really loved it, and I can only recommend it. The Heartbreakers. The next book was also purchased from my gift card, and so I didn't pay anything for it. And that was Soul Screamers Volume 3 by Rachel Vincent. I already have Volume 1 and Volume 2, and I'm super excited because that means that I have to get to it soon, because now I have like the first 9 books of the series, and I should probably get around reading them. The next 2 books that I got are a birthday, Christmas, BFF forever present that I got from Polly and Books, and that is Attachments and Landline by Rainbow Rowell. She gave me those books because it's also a massive hint to finally read all the other books of her favorite author, Rainbow Rowell, if you haven't guessed so far, and in order to finally fangirl together about all the books. And so she gave them to me as a present, and thank you so much because those books were amazing. Landline is about Georgie McCool, like coolest name ever, and she has some issues with her husband, and yeah, so she calls him over her landline that she used the last time when they were still in their early 20s, and by some chance, I don't know, magic maybe, she ends up calling her husband from back then when they were in their 20s, and so the problems that they had back then could be able to fix, like for her, she could be able to fix them, because there are also problems that they're having right now. And so this is a book about, you know, making second chances, but also in the past. It's really hard to explain, but it's so adorable because Rainbow Rowell's way to write romance is so realistic and so adorable that you just can't help but root for the characters every page and just fall in love with them. And it's just truly amazing how she's capable of doing that with each book that she writes. Attachment! It's about Lincoln, who works at an office as a security, but not in a way that he guards the building or anything, but in a way of reading other people's emails to make sure that they are not inappropriate or in them, or, you know, not talk about work. He stumbled upon the emails from Jennifer and Beth, and along the way he falls in love with Beth, but by then it's way too late to finally introduce himself, because what would he say? Hey, I know everything about you because I read all your emails, but not in a weird way. It's my job. I have to read them, but you're super cool and I really like you and I just fell in love with you. I know that's not going to work. Sorry, but that's weird. So anyway, it doesn't feel weird though while you're reading it, because just the way it's written, it's so cute. Anyway, also really adorable, also something I just can't recommend, and thank you very much, Polly, I love you. The last book on my book haul pile that I got in January is Passenger by Alexandra Bracken. So I want to give away from Abby, aka Bone Season of Glass. I still can't believe that I actually won, like what? But anyway, I won, and the first book that came to my mind that I desperately wanted to get but didn't want to get because it just came out, and I bought quite a couple of books already in January. And so the first one that came to my mind was Passenger. It just came out in January, and it's about time travel. I think it's the first one in the series or a trilogy, I'm not quite sure, but I've only seen very high praise about it on Tumblr, and so many people said it's a wonderful book and you have to read it, and so I'm really excited to get into it, and maybe this is going to be the next book that I'm reading. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I'm just so super excited to read it. So those are the books that I got in January. And for the people who follow me on Tumblr, in the beginning of the year I made a post about my bookish resolutions for 2016. One of them was to not buy so many books while I'm reading the huge amount of books that I already bought but haven't read so far. I pretty much failed that one. Anyway, January was the test month. February will be better. Anyway, I hope it will be better. We're just into the month right now in a couple of days, so whatever. Have you read any of those books? Which books did you buy in January? And yeah, what are your thoughts on them? Anyway, I wish you a great day, night, noon, morning, or whatever time is it in your time zone. See you around. Bye.